One is, what are the three branches of government?
Okay, so you have executive, legislative, and judicial.
What are the branches of government? There are three branches of government: the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch.
What are the three branches of government? The three branches of government are judicial, executive, and legislative.
Okay, what does each branch do?
Executive would be the president, vice president, so they carry out the laws or enforce them. And then legislative would be like the House of Representatives and the Congress, which pass the bills and all that. And then judicial, which is the Supreme Court.
Second question, what does each branch do? The executive branch consists of the president. The executive branch is the chief law enforcement of the country. They uphold the laws of the country. The legislative branch, they create the laws of the country, pass the laws of the country. And then the judicial branch verifies that the Constitution is not violated, also stands as the highest court in the land.
Second question, what does each branch do? So I'm not exactly sure what each branch does. Third question.
So the Democrats and the Republicans are the two main parties in the United States. Can you name a third party?
Libertarians? So yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Third question, Democrats and Republicans are the major parties. Can you name a third party? Yes, Libertarian. And there's also Green Party too. Those are the two major ones that I'm familiar with.
Question. Democrats and Republicans are the major parties. Can you name the third party? So I know that the third party has something to do with both of them. Both of them probably somebody not like agreeing of like the parties, but I don't know.
And final question, what is the basic process by which a bill becomes law?
It's presented to the House of Representatives, and between the Democrat and Republican parties, or they give their vote on whether they want it to be a law or not, and from there they go on
To where?
To pass the law, and then from there it goes on to the executive aspect of the government, and they'll put it into effect.
Fourth question, what's the basic process by which a bill becomes law? Basic process. A bill is introduced and neither the House or the Senate must pass in either the House or the Senate, and then goes to the other branch or other half of Congress. So if it originates in the House, it must go to the Senate, pass the Senate. Once it passes both houses of Congress, then it is passed to the president. Once it goes to the president may sign it or veto it or sit on it for a pocket veto. If it's signed, it's passed into law, then it's passed on to the legislative branch, where the legislative branch reviews it to make sure that it's constitutional. If it's deemed unconstitutional, then the law is null and void. If it's deemed constitutional, it goes into effect. If the president vetoes the law, it may go back to the legislative branch, Congress, in which case it must pass the Senate by a majority or supermajority vote, 2/3. I hope this helps out. Thank you, and good night.
Question. What is the basic process by which a bill becomes a law? I don't know what the basic process is.
What are the three branches of government? We have the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branch. The legislative branch brings forth articles of impeachment, confirms presidential appointments, proposes laws, and passes budgets. One thing to note is the House has 435 members, determined by the population size of each district that they are from. And the Senate has 100 members, and you will get 2 from each state. The legislative also approves treaties presented by the executive branch. The executive branch is the President of the United States, and that branch creates and proposes budgets, appoints cabinet members to head various departments, such as the Department of Defense. The president is the executive branch, and the president are considered the commander-in-chief of the military. And then we also have the judicial branch, which can overturn unconstitutional law, block unconstitutional presidential orders, and they are nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. And they do serve a life term unless they resign, pass away, or are removed by impeachment. What does each branch of the government do? The legislature creates and passes bills. They pass those bills on to the president, who will either sign or veto the bill. And then the Supreme Court can either overturn or approve the bill if it is challenged. How do they regulate each other? The legislature will create the bill to become law, but it can be vetoed by the president. The legislature can also override the veto with a 2/3 supermajority. And the judiciary branch can overturn the law if it is considered unconstitutional. The judiciary cannot create or enforce laws, rather it only interprets them to ensure they are following the Constitution. Democrats and Republicans are the major parties. Can you name a third party? Yes, we have the Libertarian Party and the Green Party. Those are two major minor parties, third parties, that did draw some attention in the last presidential election. How did the two-party system start? The modern two-party system started in 1829 when the Democratic Republican Party split into the Jacksonian Democrats and the Whig Party. The Whig Party became the Republican Party, and the Democrats and Republicans were the two major parties at the time. The Conservative Coalition realigned the Republican ideology in the 1960s. Before that, the Republican Party held similar ideologies as the modern-day Liberal Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party has favored liberal positions since the 1890s, so for a while there, they were very similar. What impact do third or minor parties have on national politics? They draw attention to specific issues that force mainstream candidates from the Democratic and Republican parties to choose a side instead of just ignoring the issue. They may not win office. A lot of times they know they're not going to win office, but it does help draw attention to their specific issues and lead to addressing this issue by the major parties. What is the basic process by which a bill becomes law? A member of Congress will introduce the legislation, becoming the sponsor of the bill, in either the House or the Senate. The bill then goes to committee for examination. If the bill moves out of committee, it goes to a subcommittee for review. If the original committee does not move the bill forward, it is dead or will not pass. If the bill makes it to the subcommittee review, it is studied and there are hearings on the bill. These hearings allow the executive branch, experts in their field and on the matter, and others to get their views on the bill on record. After the subcommittee hearing, changes are made to the bill before recommending it to the full committee. Once it goes back to the full committee, they vote on whether to recommend or report the bill to either the House or the Senate, depending on where it is. From here, it is voted on by the full House or Senate, depending on who it was reported to. If it passes the full House or Senate, then it goes to the other chamber of the legislature, where it will go through the similar process of a committee review, subcommittee, full committee review again, and then full vote on the floor if it makes it through those. The other chamber may reject, approve, change, or ignore the bill. If there are major changes, they will have a conference where they will go over the changes, make any other changes that are needed. From there, it will go, if it passes both the House and the Senate, then it will go to the President for a signature to enact the bill into law. He can either sign the bill into law or veto the bill or let it die with a pocket veto. So a pocket veto happens when Congress is not in session and the President does nothing to the bill after the second session. If Congress is in session and the President does nothing for 10 days, then the bill becomes automatic. The bill automatically becomes law. If the President vetoes the bill, Congress can try to override the veto by voting on the bill again. And then if the bill gets a 2/3 majority in each chamber, the bill will automatically become law.